Hello, everyone. We're group four. We're gonna talk about the article "Meet the Patriarchy in the Business School" of the author Prothero. A little bit of introduction of the article. This article is more about the experience that the author live in their academia, where they should live like gender biases, unfair career progressions, and sexism for part of the male. In this presentation, we're gonna present our learning and reflection in leadership theories and aspects that are related to the article. We're gonna talk about power and influence, personality traits, emotional intelligence, mentorship and leadership styles, AOR model, single loop, and double loop learning. Then it's gonna start our peer sign up with personality traits.
Thank you. Okay, my name is Zainab, and now I'm going to be talking about how power plays in Protero's article. Firstly, power, according to Urge et al., it is the capacity to produce an effect on others or to shape outcome. Well, power goes beyond formal authority in leadership. It is about who gets to speak, who gets heard, and whose ideas are valued. Protero's article showed us how power was distributed in a business school. Men had more power than the women. She struggled with being heard, and this is referred to as a typical patriarchal setting. An occurrence described by her was when early in her career, she was paid more than a male colleague with the justification that there was an age difference. This shows us how the structure of an organization can bring in inequality. And we can see here that it is not just about the pay, but an implicit message is being passed that the men are more valued than the women. Power is often hidden in plain sight and it is embedded in every fabric of our organization. Similarly, Pretero describes having a email searched for evidence of conspiracy used against her, which was used against her in meetings, and she's been coerced into turning on colleagues. This creates a climate of surveillance and fear where people are afraid to speak out or even challenge the authority. This is a form of, we can say that this is a form of coercive power as mentioned in the textbook, where the threat of punishment, such as disciplinary action or loss of reputation, is used to control a person's behavior. A similar case of coercive was when male students and colleagues, when they used intimidation and pressure tactics, influence tactics, such as standing over her or making implied threats to undermine our authority. Well, now I'm going to be talking about how personality traits, how it plays in Protero's article. The textbook had two meanings for personality. One is describe personality as a person's public reputation and how others sees a person. Why the second one is how a person sees themselves, that is their own identity. Research showed that there is a gap between those two definitions and the two conflict with one another as the best predictor of one's personality. In Preter's article, she was labeled difficult or challenging for challenging the norms and was also she was labeled difficult for challenging the norms and even asking for a legal right. When she took on senior positions, colleague questioned her qualification, and some even said she got the position because of her husband. These labels are not just based on objective behavior, but on gendered expectation. We can see that women who are assertive, they are considered as being problematic, while men who exhibit these traits, they are seen as strong leaders. It is like being told when you are too loud when you speak or too quiet when you don't. Public opinion about a person's personality is subject to bias, and in that case, I'll be using the Ocean model to or assess Prostaros as personality. The Ocean model is a widely used tool for understanding personality traits, and it is like a map, though it has its own shortcomings as well. As we can see on the diagram, we have openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. Proteo's willingness to challenge norms and share her story reflects a high score in openness. Her conscientiousness, she is dedicated to her work and she is also very committed, which demonstrates high conscientiousness. Then we also talk about extroversion. While Protera does not describe herself as being highly extroverted, her advocacy of public sharing of her experiences require a degree of extroversion. Then we also say that agreeableness, the double bind highlights how women are expected to be agreeable, but they are penalized for it in leadership roles. Then we also have the last one, neuroticism. Proterra has the imposter syndrome and self-doubt. It can be seen as being related to neuroticism, but we can also see an important thing to note is that these feelings are often a response to our environment and not inherent personality flaws. Yeah, we can see how power shapes a person's personality, the constant undermining and exclusion that Proterra faced led to her having self-doubt and imposter syndrome. The system's power dynamics shapes how women see themselves or and how others see themselves. Now I'll be moving on to personal reflection. For me, Protero's article is not just a personal narrative, but there's a powerful critique of how power and personality traits are gendered in leadership. Our journey left a mark on me. It's a reminder that leadership is shaped by more than just ambition or talent. It is shaped by the systems that we are part of and the choices that we make every day. I hope we can all reflect on the kind of leaders we want to be and the kind of environment we want to create as well. Reading a story made me realize how deeply power and personality shapes leadership experiences, often in ways that we don't immediately see. Our courage to speak out inspired me to even reflect on my own role. Am I creating a space for others to be heard? Well, a story is still a powerful reminder that leadership is not just about an individual success, but lifting others and challenging unfair system. It is a lesson that I will carry forward in my own journey. Now my colleague will be talking on how emotional intelligence plays in Protero's article. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Janeb. Hi, everyone. I am going to talk about emotional intelligence. Like emotional intelligence is not about your emotion. It's also related to understand the other emotion. Like in this article, I can I can say that in this article where Portia say that I still have imposter syndrome. It's related to the emotional intelligence. Like it's showing a self awareness. Like she is very aware about herself. Second is the self regulation, where she manages her emotion and also she manages the stressful situation in a very calm way. And third one is the empathy, like where she showed that she managed the every situation like as a mentor. And third one the social skill. So skill like where she pushed herself for ahead. Next slide, please. Here is the model and framework for emotion intelligence. See, like there are three model. First one is a Goldman AI performance model. I can say that in this article, Andrea shows self-awareness by recognizing her imposter syndrome and self-regulation, like by continue to teaching her despite feeling physically sick. She also demonstrates social awareness and relationship, by mentoring a younger woman and advocating for change. Second one is the bar on AI competency model. I can say that in this article, I see an Andrea reflect a self-perception through her emotional struggle, express herself honestly, support other, and make a thoughtful decision under pressure, and manage the stressful situation in a very calm way in the workplace environment. Third one is the Maillard model. I say that she perceives the emotion like as I earlier mentioned imposter syndrome. She use emotion to connect with the student and colleagues, understand the emotion from her own and also other. It's showing manage the emotion to push through adversity and advocate for reform. Next slide, please. Emotional intelligence in the workplace, as in the traditional, like in the business school, traditional leadership also ignored the emotion. They are they are don't understand the other emotion. But as a good leader, you're a good leader also like a good leader provide you the open environment, like where all employees can share their every situation in a very effective way, and she good leader can be a helpful for them. And good leader create a emotionally safe space, like not there is no fear of judgment. It's also good leader is a very active listening. He give a good feedback, and it is helpful to decision making. Next slide, please. Like now I'm going to talk about developing emotional intelligence in business school, like how emotional intelligence can be developed in the school. First one is the integrate the emotional intelligence into curriculum, like we should add emotional intelligence in the curriculum. It's like by giving to the children like a role playing model about the and also giving their case study, and any scenario where can where a student can participate, and they also experience that situation, and they can understand the emotion intelligence and also handle every situation in a very effective way. Second one is the foster self reflection, like a student in the school, teacher should encourage a student to develop a self awareness, like by giving a activity about the emotional intelligence, and after that they can give a feedback in a positive way, which is very helpful for to self reflection. Third one is the emphasize collaborative learning, like teacher should create a group project, and where all the student can work together, they can aware about the self awareness as well as a social awareness. So next slide, please. My personal reflection, like after reading this article, it made me reflect that like I also faced the same situation, but like I faced the confident struggle with the confidence while speaking English. Like after reaching in Canada, I faced a lot of problem about this, and also I have a doubt about myself. So, but her honestly inspired me to see this feeling as a part of leadership growth. So now I believe emotion intelligence is one of the most important skill any leader can have, want to lead with empathy and courage too. Thank you. So next part will be discussed by Josie.
Thank you, Manpreet. So on my part, I'll explore mentorship, sponsorship, and leadership styles that drive structural and systemic change. So in the passage, I use my power as a full professor to constantly champion and advocate for women. I now openly talk about my experiences as a means through which to normalize them. These statements and other passages from the article highlights essential elements of mentorship, sponsorship, and diverse leadership styles. So a mentor provides guidance, support, and knowledge to help others grow personally and professionally. So in this case, by openly sharing experiences and normalizing motherhood, the author serves as a mentor to women who may be navigating similar challenges. This helps others feel seen, supported, and less isolated. The leadership style connection, it closely aligns with servant leadership and, and authentic leadership. It's about helping others grow by sharing their journeys. Sponsorship, so a sponsor actively uses their influence to open doors and create opportunities for others. So in this case, the author uses her power and status to advocate for women. This includes speaking up, recommending women for promotion, or defending their needs, and changing institutional norms. So this reflects transformational leadership. The author uses her platform to influence cultural change in academia. So yeah, so next slide. So though not in, no, the other one. So though the previous one, though not in informal leadership role, the author creates an informal leadership pipeline for women. She sponsors them using her influence to advocate for their advancement. She also pushes for cultural change, questioning how leadership is traditionally defined and challenging systemic norms within the university. Next slide, please. So beyond mentorship, the author advocates for institutional reform. She critiques metrics like teaching evaluation and promotion systems, which often reflect patriarchal biases. She argues that emotional labor, like mentoring, must be recognized and valued, not dismissed. Next slide. So based on the article, here are the main strategic actions she took or recommended to challenge and change these systemic inequities in academia. So she advocated for women using her position as a full professor. She openly shared her struggles with sexism, imposter syndrome, and postnatal depression to normalize these challenges and make them discussable. So her public storytelling helped break taboos around issues like motherhood, menopause, and mental health. So she criticized the use of student evaluation in promotion decisions, arguing they are biased and reinforce patriarchal norms. So challenging the over-reliance on white male voices in academic discourse. So next slide. So a balanced scorecard is a tool that author could use to push for systemic change by formally recognizing mentorship, inclusive teaching, service work as essential, measurable components of academic success. Next slide. So combining these theories and practices creates a robust strategic approach. So these initiatives foster a more equitable academic environment such as mentorship program, revised evaluation criteria, and leadership development. Next slide. So for my reflections and experience, early in my career, I found myself in a position that strongly mirrors the author's dilemma. So I was the only woman in a male-dominated department, a situation that came with both visible and invisible challenges. So much like Protero's experiences of being questioned, underestimated, and having to prove her right to belong, I too navigated a workplace culture not built with women in mind. So what made a crucial difference for me was mentorship and sponsorship. So a more senior colleague who recognized my potential, actively monitored and advocated for me. So this was just for technical guidance. We offered a kind of strategic support, like helping me understand how to navigate organizational politics, how to build credibility, and most importantly, how to challenge the status quo without being isolated. So that sponsorship helped me rise through the ranks. So as I gained influence, I made it a personal and professional mission to diversify the team. So I became intentional about hiring and supporting women, especially those who reminded me of myself in the early stages of my career. So like the author, I saw mentorship as a form of leadership, not a side task, but a central way to create a systemic change. So by the time I left the team, it was no longer a homogeneous department. It had become a diverse, inclusive unit with more women in visible, meaningful roles. So this wasn't an accident. It was a result of strategic mentoring, active sponsorship, and a commitment to shifting the internal culture. So thank you. Now let's hear from Santiago. We'll be talking about AOR and single and double loop.
Thank you, Josie. So after analyzing all this leadership approach, we use the AOR model, that it's a learning tool that helps analyze a little bit more about the actions that happens. So in terms of actions, what did Protero and the men exhibit? First, we also see the challenge disparity that she felt, and also the gender biases and microaggressions the men's made across her. Also, we also see how she tried to understand a little bit more what he's gonna be and what she's gonna do in the future, providing mentorship and support to female colleagues. In terms of observation, uh, we can see that she was like understanding and feeling that she feels in the wrong room. Also seeing like some of the colleagues make joke about her name. Also the feeling about label her difficult and debilitate, and as Manpreet says, the debilitating imposter syndrome that she was experienced. In the other way, the reasons for denied promotions include research not being mainstream enough and caring roles not being measured like traditional research. This reveal biases in how contributions and value. And the last one is questioning, do I belong here? This is a feeling echoing by facing a similar systemic barriers that they look in. These observations are critical and they spark like the reality of the patriarchal system and how they operate in her experience. In terms of the reflection, what lessons do we extract and what does Dot Prothero reflect? So the first one is breaking biases. Through openly discussion taboos, creates a safer environment. she realized that silence patriarchy name issues allowed for legitimate dialogue and change. Secondly, need for systemic change. This key is about transforming or changing the system, not asking the individual just to change and adapting the women as they were trying to do. It's more about not to fix women, it's to fix about the institution and the system. And lastly, a leadership responsibility. All people have a role in the system, and she tried to understand that people need to change this, and that patriarchy is an effort that is not bad, that has not value in it and needs to be changed. That everyone needs to be like in a truly collaborative and equitable environment. Um, so after analyzing the AOR model, we also want to see like how we can see the double loop learning and show the single loop. So if we understand the single loop learning, we can see first that focusing on training for women, that was the thing that was she was living. So this was navigating through toxic cultures rather than changing the culture by itself. Also, being told to be accommodating to male student sexism rather than challenging the behavior. This is a single loop um, reflection, because these approaches only maintain the status quo. And now we can see like the powerful thing of the double loop learning as shown on the top. So encouraging men to challenge their own gender biases and actively call out microaggressions is double loop. It shifts responsibility and questions the underlying assumptions who needs to change. Secondly, what's most powerful, her statement when in the article where she said what we should do is focus on changing women to fit in the system. This is changing the system, not the person. This is a double loop learning. It fundamentally questions the existing system, and it designs its values, implicit rules, and moving beyond to fixing the person to fixing the problem. So our reflection of us in the group, mainly confirmed by 4 women, uh, we we understand various leadership theories highlight critical insights into patriarchy. We saw how power balances, how sign-up manifest the disparities, and how personality biases label assertive women as difficult. Also in this article, we can see that portrayal play a vital role of emotional intelligence, as Manpreet was saying, for the resilience and the impact of mentorship in navigating hostile environments, as Josie said. And finally, we understand the single loop learning is insufficient in a real world to be more collaborative and more a safer environment. The double loop learning question and transforming underlying patriarchal systems, not just individuals. This requires a strategic approach to leadership, moving beyond the traditional myths, metrics to foster genuinity, equitable environments. So thank you very much. And this is our presentation.